Why do some people never get cancer? And what are they doing differently? The answer isn't in a pill bottle, it's in one daily habit. And today I'm going to show you exactly what it is, why it works at the cellular level, and how to start doing it correctly, possibly as soon as tomorrow morning. Before we dive in, I want to give you some context. A landmark study from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health followed over 116,000 adults for 28 years, and what they found was extraordinary. One specific category of daily behavior reduced overall cancer risk by up to 61% in adults over 50. 61%. That is not a chemotherapy drug. That is not a supplement stack. That is a lifestyle pattern, and the single most powerful component of that pattern, the one habit that outperformed everything else, is what we're going to focus on today. I want you to leave a comment right now. How old are you? And has any doctor ever sat down with you and talked about cancer prevention, not just detection? I read every comment. Your answers genuinely shape what I cover on this channel. Here is the fundamental problem with how we approach cancer after 50. We wait, we do annual screenings, we monitor, we watch for symptoms, and by the time something shows up on a scan, by the time there is something to detect, that cancer has often been quietly developing for 5, 7, sometimes 10 years. The system is built around early detection. And detection is important, but detection is not the same as prevention. What I want to talk about today is upstream, the biology that happens years before any scan would show anything, because that is where the real opportunity lives. After the age of 50, 3 things begin happening simultaneously inside your body that create what I call the cancer window. First, your DNA repair enzymes slow down. The molecular machinery that identifies and corrects copying errors in your cells loses efficiency by approximately 30 to 40% between ages 50 and 70. Errors that would have been caught and corrected in your 30s now slip through. Second, your immune surveillance weakens. Your natural killer cells, the white blood cells whose entire job is to patrol your body and destroy abnormal cells before they multiply, begin declining in both number and responsiveness. Third, chronic low-grade inflammation increases, and inflammation, we now understand, is not just a symptom of disease, it is fuel for it. It creates the biological environment where precancerous cells thrive. Here is the critical insight. The habit I'm about to describe addresses all 3 of these simultaneously. Not one, all 3. That is why the research on this is so extraordinary. The single most powerful daily habit for cancer prevention after 50 is sleep. Not supplements, not a specific superfood, sleep. And I don't mean simply getting to bed earlier. I mean what researchers now call oncological sleep architecture, the specific quality, depth and timing of sleep that activates your body's most powerful internal anti-cancer systems. Let me show you what is actually happening during the night, because most people have no idea. During deep slow-wave sleep, stages 3 and 4, your body does something remarkable. It enters what I think of as biological maintenance mode. The factory closes, the cleaning crews come in, your brain activates what is called the glymphatic system, a waste clearance network first described by researchers at the University of Rochester in 2013. It uses cerebrospinal fluid to physically flush toxic proteins and damaged cellular debris from your nervous system. Think of it as a power wash cycle that only runs when everything else is shut down. But here is the cancer-specific mechanism that most people never hear about. During these same deep sleep phases, your body produces its highest concentrations of melatonin. Now, most people think of melatonin as just a sleep aid, the little gummy you take before a long flight, but in clinical research, melatonin is understood to be one of the most powerful endogenous antioxidants known to science. A comprehensive review published in Cancer Research in 2021 found that melatonin directly inhibits tumor angiogenesis, meaning it blocks cancers from building the new blood vessel networks they need to grow and spread. It also stimulates natural killer cell activity, your immune system's frontline cancer detection force, and here is the part that should genuinely alarm you. Melatonin production declines by up to 70% between the ages of 40 and 70. By the time most people are in their mid-60s, they are producing almost negligible amounts during sleep. Your most powerful internal anti-cancer mechanism is running at less than a third of its original capacity, and most people don't even know it exists. A 2019 report from the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified chronic disruption of sleep architecture as a probable human carcinogen. That puts disrupted sleep in the same category as certain industrial chemicals and pesticides. Adults over 60 who consistently achieve 7 to 8.5 hours of quality sleep in a dark, cool environment have cancer mortality rates up to 48% lower than those consistently sleeping under 6 hours. That statistic comes from a 20-year cohort study out of the University of California, San Diego. This is not a minor variable. This is the master switch. Now here is the painful reality. The vast majority of adults over 60 are not getting anywhere near the sleep quality required to activate these protective systems. And it's not because they're lazy or undisciplined. It's because of 5 specific biological and behavioral patterns that hijack sleep architecture after 50, and almost nobody is correcting them. Pattern 1. Light. Even small amounts of ambient light during sleep, the glow from a TV, a hallway nightlight, the blue pulse from a phone charger, suppress melatonin production at the pineal gland. This effect is more pronounced after 50 because the aging pineal gland is more sensitive to light disruption. Your room needs to be completely aggressively dark. Pattern 2. Temperature. Your core body temperature needs to drop by approximately 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius to initiate and sustain deep sleep. Most people sleep in rooms that are simply too warm. The research consistently points to a range of 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 to 20 Celsius, as optimal for maximizing deep sleep duration. Pattern 3. Inconsistent timing. Your circadian rhythm is governed by a small cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. After 50, this biological clock becomes less robust, less able to self-correct. It depends heavily on consistent input. Going to bed at 10 p.m. some nights and midnight on others dismantles the hormonal cascade that makes deep sleep possible. Your body clock does not take weekends off. Pattern 4. Late eating. Digestion is metabolically expensive. When your body is processing a large meal, it cannot simultaneously prioritize cellular repair. Eating within 3 hours of sleep actively competes with the restorative work that needs to happen overnight. This is not a minor inconvenience. It measurably reduces deep sleep duration. Pattern 5. Screens. You've heard this before, I know, but the mechanism is worth understanding. The blue wavelength light from phones and televisions signals to your suprachiasmatic nucleus that it is midday. It delays melatonin release by 90 minutes or more. For someone who is already producing 70% less melatonin than they did at 40, that delay is devastating. The good news is that every single one of these is correctable. Tonight, here is what I call the Sleep Recalibration Protocol. These are not suggestions. These are the non-negotiable conditions your biology requires to activate its cancer protective mechanisms. 1. Set a fixed bedtime and wake time. Ideally, lights out by 10 p.m., same time every night, including weekends. This is the single highest leverage change most people can make because it anchors the entire hormonal cascade that follows. 2. Make your room completely dark. Black out curtains. Cover every LED indicator. Put your phone face down in another room. If you need to use the bathroom during the night, do not turn on bright lights. Use a dim red nightlight, which has the least impact on melatonin. 3. Lower your room temperature to 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If this isn't possible with your thermostat, a cooling mattress pad is a worthwhile investment. The temperature signal is that important. 4. Stop eating by 7 p.m. If you're targeting a 10 p.m. bedtime, that gives your body 3 hours to complete digestion before the restorative work begins. 5. No screens after 8:30 p.m. Replace that time with something analog, reading physical print, a gentle conversation, light stretching. This is the 90-minute window your melatonin system needs to begin its ramp-up. At approximately 8 p.m., drink 4 ounces of tart cherry juice. Tart cherries are one of the very few natural food sources of melatonin precursors, specifically tryptophan and serotonin, that measurably support your body's own production. Several peer-reviewed studies have confirmed that regular tart cherry consumption increases melatonin levels and extends deep sleep duration in adults over 50. One of my patients, a 71-year-old retired nurse from Arizona, had been sleeping only 5 to 6 hours a night for years. Her immune panel showed severely suppressed natural killer cell activity. We implemented this exact protocol. Within 6 weeks, her consistent sleep duration reached 7.5 hours. At her 3-month follow-up, her natural killer cell count had increased by 47%. Her oncology team called it exceptional. She told me she hadn't slept that well since her early 40s. The biology responds. It simply needs the right conditions. Now here is what makes sleep even more powerful, and what most health content never tells you. Sleep does not work in isolation. Its cancer protective effects are dramatically amplified when combined with one other habit: morning sunlight exposure. Within 30 minutes of waking, get outside. No sunglasses. 10 to 15 minutes of natural morning light exposure directly into the eyes. You don't need to stare at the sun. Simply being outdoors in natural light is sufficient. Here is why this matters so much. Morning sunlight is the primary signal that sets your circadian clock. It triggers a cascade. Cortisol rises appropriately, body temperature increases, and critically, It begins the countdown timer that determines when melatonin will be released that evening. When you anchor your morning with natural light and your evening with darkness, you create what researchers call a strong light-dark contrast, and that contrast is directly correlated with deeper, more restorative sleep and significantly higher melatonin output during the night. You are essentially programming your body's anti-cancer system every morning. 5 minutes outside, no sunglasses, before coffee if you can. It is one of the simplest, lowest effort interventions in all of preventive medicine, and it compounds the benefits of everything else we've discussed. I want to close with something important. You are not too old for this. The research does not have an age limit. Whether you are 55 or 75, whether you've had a cancer scare or never given it a second thought, your body retains a remarkable capacity to defend itself, to repair itself, and to regenerate, but only when you give it the conditions it needs. Sleep is not a luxury. It is not something you push aside when life gets busy. For adults over 50, it is the most important cancer protective behavior in your daily life. Full stop. The studies I've referenced today are linked in the description below. Read them, share them with your doctor, ask the questions that a 15-minute appointment rarely has room for. If this video gave you something valuable today, please subscribe. Every week on this channel, we go this deep into the science of aging well, and your support is what makes that work possible. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 protocol steps are you starting tonight? And what has been your biggest barrier to quality sleep?